Stop for a moment before you reach for your phone, before your mind runs back to yesterday. What if I told you that in the next few minutes you can decide how your entire day unfolds? Not by effort, not by luck, but by something happening quietly inside you right now. Welcome to Law of Assumption, where you learn how to shift your inner state to shape your outer reality. Today, we're diving into how your morning assumptions quietly decide the direction of your entire day. Before this day fully begins, before anything in the world starts asking something from you, take a moment and just be still. This is not just another ordinary morning. This is a quiet turning point, a space between who you used to be and what is now ready to unfold through you. You didn't come across this message by chance. There is a deeper intelligence guiding where your attention goes, guiding timing, guiding awareness. And right now, it is gently pulling you inward, because real change never starts outside of you. It begins the moment you make a quiet decision within yourself. As you listen to this, release any sense of effort. You are not here to force results, fix problems, or chase outcomes. You are here to step into a state. You are here to assume, to enter a place where what you desire is no longer far away, but already alive within you. This morning is open, this moment carries power, and something extraordinary is already on its way to you today. Every single morning, before anything external unfolds, you enter a state of being. Most people do this without realizing it. They wake up and instantly accept yesterday as their truth. They carry old feelings, unfinished thoughts, and familiar expectations into a brand new day. But your day does not begin out there. It begins within you. The state you accept first becomes the foundation for everything that follows. If you begin your morning feeling pressure, delay, or struggle, life reflects that right back to you. If you begin with ease, support, and the quiet belief that things will go in your favor, life responds just as precisely. Morning is not just a time on the clock. It is a doorway. And what you carry inside as you step through that doorway shapes everything you meet on the outside. An assumption is not just a wish or something you hope for. It is a quiet inner agreement, a soft decision that says, this is how life works for me. Once that decision is made, your mind begins to filter and arrange experiences to match it. This is why two people can go through the same day and experience completely different realities. They are not living from the same inner state. When you choose your assumption on purpose, you stop reacting to life. You begin directing it. You decide ahead of time how your day will feel, how things will unfold, and how situations will resolve. And this doesn't require effort. In fact, the more relaxed you are in your assumption, the more powerful it becomes. Life responds to certainty, not force. Think about how your day feels when you wake up with a quiet knowing that things will work out. There is less resistance. Conversations flow more naturally. Opportunities appear without struggle. Even challenges feel lighter because you are no longer facing them with fear or doubt. You are meeting them from a place of stability. Your mind may try to pull you back. It may remind you of past problems or unfinished situations. But the purpose of your morning assumption is not to revisit the past. It is to choose the state you will live in right now. The past only continues if you keep agreeing with it. The moment you accept something new, its hold begins to fade. A powerful assumption is not about controlling specific events. It is about identity. Instead of thinking, I hope today goes well, you quietly accept, I am someone whose days go well. That small shift changes everything. Life always organizes itself around who you believe you are. As you move through your day, this state begins to confirm itself. You notice small signs. Things feel easier. Solutions appear. There is calm where there used to be tension. These are not coincidences. They are reflections of the state you chose in the morning. Even if nothing seems different right away, stay loyal to your assumption. What is unseen always begins moving before anything becomes visible. Once you understand this, mornings become something sacred. They are no longer rushed or automatic. They become intentional. You realize you are not just waking up into a day. The day is unfolding through you. So choose carefully, choose gently, choose with quiet confidence. Because the state you accept in the morning doesn't just influence your day, it becomes your day. Most people go through life thinking they need to attract better situations, better relationships, better opportunities. They wait, they visualize, they hope, and then they wonder why things take so long to change. But life doesn't respond to wanting. It responds to being. What you experience externally is not something you pull toward you. It is something you express from within. The outer world is like a mirror. It reflects the state you consistently hold inside. This is why effort alone doesn't create lasting change. You can try hard, think positively for a moment, or repeat affirmations without feeling them and still see little difference. The mirror doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you believe yourself to be. When you understand this, responsibility shifts, not as blame, but as power. You stop chasing results. You stop trying to force the world to cooperate. Instead, you adjust your inner position, and naturally, the reflection begins to change. If you often experience delays, resistance, or disappointment, it doesn't mean life is working against you. It simply means the inner state being reflected carries uncertainty or struggle. The world is not judging you. It is faithfully echoing what you hold within. And when you truly see this, frustration starts to fade. Nothing is broken. Everything is responding exactly as it should. Reflection is automatic. You don't have to manage it. Just like a mirror cannot choose what it shows, life cannot choose what it reflects. When you begin to see yourself as supported, valued, and favored, your experiences will start to mirror that. People respond differently. Situations feel lighter. Timing improves. Not because the world changed on its own, but because your state changed first. This is also why trying to fix everything outside can feel exhausting. You are working on the reflection instead of the source. You try to control outcomes, conversations, or reactions, but if the inner assumption stays the same, nothing truly shifts. The reflection only changes when the one standing in front of it changes. You don't need to imagine every small detail, you simply need to step into a new version of yourself. Ask yourself honestly, who would I be if this was already resolved? That feeling, calm, relief, quiet confidence, that is the state you begin to reflect. And life rearranges itself to match it. Your mind may question this, it may ask about action, but action still happens. It just flows naturally from your state. When you feel confident, your actions reflect confidence. When you feel certain, your decisions become clear. Action becomes an extension of who you are, not something you force to create results. There is real freedom in understanding this. You stop blaming your circumstances. You stop waiting for signs. You stop judging progress only by what you can see. Instead, you turn inward, knowing that every consistent inner shift must eventually show up on the outside. As you become more aware, you begin to notice how quickly your moods, assumptions, and inner conversations shape your reality. And instead of fighting them, you gently guide them. You choose again. You are not here to someday attract a better life. You are here to reflect fulfillment now and let life respond. One of the most common patterns of the mind is believing you need proof before you can feel certain. You are taught to wait for signs, results, or confirmation before you allow yourself to relax into confidence. But life does not work in that order. It is always decision first, evidence later. Waiting for proof keeps you in doubt. It signals that the state has not yet been accepted, and life responds by keeping it out of reach. This is not delay or punishment. It is accuracy. Life can only confirm what you have already agreed to within yourself. When you decide first, something shifts. The need to check, to worry, to control starts to fall away. You stop looking outside for reassurance. Instead, you carry a calm inner knowing. This state is steady, grounded, and naturally magnetic. Your mind might resist this. It might tell you to be realistic or to wait until you're sure. But certainty does not come from evidence. It comes from assumption. What you call facts are simply reflections of past assumptions. To bring something new into your life, you have to move beyond what your eyes can currently see. This is why making a clear inner decision can feel uncomfortable at first. In the beginning, you are stepping away from what appears to be true and choosing instead to align with what you intend. That gap can feel unfamiliar, but it doesn't last. Once your decision settles, your body starts to relax, the tension fades, and life begins adjusting itself to match what you have accepted within. The evidence doesn't show up instantly, and it doesn't have to. What happens behind the scenes always comes first. Conversations begin to line up, opportunities start forming, timing shifts, and different pieces quietly fall into place in ways you could never plan logically. Then one day, almost without effort, the result appears. Not as something you forced, but as something that naturally unfolded. If you catch yourself constantly looking for signs, gently bring your focus back to your decision. Signs are only reflections, not the cause. The real cause is the inner agreement you made with yourself. Remind yourself of it calmly without pressure. A true decision doesn't fight doubt, it simply rises beyond it. Doubt might still pass through your mind, but it no longer controls your state. You are not pushing it away, you are just grounded in something stronger. Living like this changes how you experience time. What once felt slow or delayed no longer feels heavy. You trust the process because you have already accepted the outcome. This trust is not passive, it is a steady alignment. When you understand that results follow decisions, you stop delaying your peace, you stop waiting and negotiating with life, you settle within, and life reflects that stability back to you. Decide first and let everything else follow. Once the decision is made, the result is no longer a question, it is simply waiting to appear. Most people think gratitude comes after something good happens, but real gratitude works differently. It is not a reaction, it is a state you step into. Gratitude is the feeling that nothing is missing, that everything is already complete within you. And because life mirrors your inner state, that feeling of completion becomes the reason results begin to show up. When you feel grateful before anything appears, you are not pretending. You are stepping into the emotional state of already having it. You are living at the end instead of waiting somewhere in the middle. That is why gratitude is so powerful. It removes doubt, struggle, and effort all at once. You cannot feel grateful and still be searching at the same time. As gratitude becomes natural, the tension around wanting disappears. There is no urgency, no pressure, no constant checking. You stop asking when it will happen because gratitude quietly assumes it already has. And that silent knowing speaks louder than any words you could repeat. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is missing to what is already enough. Not by force, but by awareness. You begin to notice flow instead of resistance, ease instead of delay. And as your focus changes, your experience changes with it. What you acknowledge within begins to expand outside. You don't have to feel overly excited or intensely positive. Real gratitude is often calm. It feels like relief, like settling into something safe, like finally breathing out after holding tension for too long. This is the state life responds to most clearly. When you are in gratitude, you stop trying to control every detail. You trust how things unfold. You allow timing to work in your favor. This is not giving up, it is alignment. It means you are no longer resisting what you desire. If your mind brings up doubts or reminds you of what isn't there yet, gratitude gently brings you back. You don't argue with the thought. You simply return to the feeling that it is already done. Over time, that feeling becomes steady, and the outside world starts reflecting it. First in small ways, then in more obvious ones. Gratitude also shifts how you see yourself. You are no longer someone hoping things will change. You become someone who already lives in completion. This changes how you speak, how you move, how you respond. People can feel it. Situations respond to it. Life opens up to it. This doesn't mean you ignore challenges. It means you stop giving them power over your inner state. You can see what is in front of you without letting it define you. Inside, you remain grounded in fulfillment. As gratitude deepens, everything becomes easier. You are no longer trying to make things happen. You are allowing what you have already accepted to show up. This is why gratitude often brings results faster than effort. It removes resistance completely. When you live in this state, you stop chasing outcomes and start receiving confirmations. Life meets you where you are. And when you are in a state of completeness, life reflects that back. Gratitude is not the reward at the end, it is the doorway. Step into it, and everything else follows. Every change starts with a decision, but it is persistence that allows that decision to become real in your experience. Many people assume something new for a moment, feel hopeful, and then give up when they don't see instant results. But life doesn't respond to short-lived feelings, it responds to the state you return to again and again. Persistence is not about forcing belief or blocking out doubt. It is about staying gently loyal to the assumption you have chosen, even when things outside don't yet reflect it. You are not fighting reality, you are choosing not to let temporary appearances change your inner position. This steady approach is what creates results. The outer world always reflects the past, not the present. That delay is not a problem. It is the bridge between what you accepted within and what shows up outside. When you understand this, you stop seeing delay as failure. You see it as movement already happening. When you remain consistent in your assumption, your thoughts begin to change naturally. You stop reacting to every sign or lack of one. You stay grounded. This creates alignment between your thoughts, feelings, and expectations. And that alignment is powerful. Doubt may still appear, but persistence means you don't give it control. You notice it, and then gently return to your chosen state. Over time, that state becomes natural. It stops feeling like something you are trying to do and starts feeling like who you are. This is when things become inevitable. Life cannot continue reflecting something different from a stable inner state. The reflection has to change. People act differently. Situations shift. Opportunities come into view. And often these changes feel normal when they happen, just naturally aligned. Persistence also keeps you emotionally balanced. Instead of going up and down, you stay centered. You stop measuring progress every moment. You trust what is happening because you understand how it works. Many people give up right before things begin to show. They check too often, they look for proof too soon, and in doing that, they move back into doubt. Persistence means you stop checking and start knowing. This knowing is quiet. It doesn't need reassurance. It is calm, steady, and patient. And this patience is not waiting. It is confidence that what you accepted is already on its way. As you continue, effort fades. You don't need to repeat things to convince yourself. You simply return to the feeling of it being done whenever your mind drifts. That is enough. Eventually, this becomes your natural state. And when it does, the outside world has no choice but to match it. What you once imagined becomes your reality. What you once assumed becomes something you can see. Persistence is the quiet strength behind every real transformation. Not force, not struggle, just consistency with the truth you have chosen within. Stay steady, stay calm, and let life reveal what has already been decided. Now take a moment and be still. Notice how nothing needs to be added, nothing needs to be proven. You have already stepped into a new inner state, and that alone has set things in motion. From here, life begins to respond. Doors open naturally. Answers come without effort. What once felt slow begins to move easily. Carry this feeling with you throughout your day. Let it shape your thoughts, your tone, your expectations, not with pressure, but with quiet certainty. You don't need to watch for signs. You don't need to check if it's working. The decision has already been made and life has already responded. Today is aligned. Today supports you. What you have accepted within is now taking form outside. It is already done. Thank you for giving yourself this moment of stillness. Thank you for choosing awareness instead of worry. And thank you for starting your day from a place of inner strength. If this connected with you, come back to it whenever you need to reset. And remember, the state you hold within is always shaping the world you experience. Have a beautiful day. What you quietly accept inside yourself becomes the lens through which you experience everything. Most people think life is happening to them, but in reality, life is responding to them, more specifically, to the state they consistently live in. Your thoughts alone are not what shape your reality. It's the deeper feeling behind them, the identity you return to again and again, that creates patterns in your life. When you repeatedly feel uncertain, unsupported, or doubtful, even if you try to stay positive on the surface, that deeper state continues to project outward. Situations begin to reflect that same uncertainty. Delays, confusion, and resistance appear, not because life is against you, but because it is mirroring what is active within you. In the same way, when you settle into a state of calm confidence and quiet certainty, even without visible proof, things begin to shift. People respond differently, opportunities show up more naturally, and timing starts to feel more aligned. This is why forcing positive thoughts rarely works long term. If the inner identity doesn't change, the outer results won't either. You can repeat affirmations all day, but if underneath you still feel like someone who is waiting, hoping, or lacking, that is the state life continues to reflect. The real shift happens when you stop trying to convince yourself and instead gently move into the feeling of already being the person who has what you desire. It's a subtle change, but powerful. Instead of asking, when will this happen? You begin to think, this is already mine. Instead of reacting to every small sign or delay, you remain steady, knowing that what you accepted internally is already in motion. That steadiness creates a kind of inner stability that life responds to very quickly. You may notice that at first your mind resists this. It wants proof. It wants to check if things are working. It may bring up past experiences that seem to contradict your new assumption. But those are just old patterns trying to stay alive. They only continue if you keep feeding them attention. The moment you stop engaging with them and return to your chosen state, they begin to lose strength. Another important part of this is understanding that you don't need to control every detail. Many people think they have to figure out how everything will happen, but that only creates pressure. Your role is not to manage the process, but to remain aligned with the end feeling. Once that feeling becomes natural, life handles the details in ways you could not plan yourself. There is also a shift that happens with time when you live like this. You stop feeling rushed or anxious about when things will show up. You begin to trust the unfolding because you already feel complete within yourself. That sense of completion removes the desperation that often blocks things from happening. Instead of chasing, you begin receiving. Over time, this way of living becomes easier. What once felt like effort starts to feel normal. You don't have to remind yourself constantly because the new state becomes who you are. And when that happens, change is no longer something you're trying to create. It becomes something that naturally appears in your life. This is not about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring reality. It's about choosing which reality you give your energy to. The outer world may show temporary situations, but your inner state decides whether those situations stay or change. When you remain grounded in the feeling of already having what you desire, even when things are still shifting, you create a powerful consistency that life must eventually reflect. The more you practice this, the more you realize that nothing outside has control over you unless you give it that control. You stop reacting so quickly. You stop feeling shaken by small changes. Instead, you stay centered, knowing that your inner state is the true source of everything you experience. And from that place, life begins to feel different, not because the world suddenly changed overnight, but because you did. At the end of everything shared here, it all comes back to one simple truth. You are not waiting for life to change. You are choosing the state that creates change. The moment you decide who you are and how your life works, everything begins to move in that direction. You don't need to force outcomes, chase results, or keep searching for proof. Your only role is to remain steady in the assumption you have already accepted. When you wake up and choose your state with calm certainty, when you feel gratitude before anything appears, and when you stay loyal to that inner decision no matter what you see outside, you shift from hoping to knowing. And from that place, life has no choice but to reflect it back to you. There is nothing missing. There is nothing delayed. What you have accepted within is already unfolding. Trust it. Stay grounded in it. Let your thoughts, feelings, and expectations come from that place of completion. Because once the decision is made, once the state becomes natural, the outcome is no longer something you chase. It becomes something that reveals itself to you. So move through your day with ease. Stay calm, stay certain, and remember, it is already done. Before you go, if this message resonated with you, make sure to like, subscribe to Law of Assumption, and hit the bell icon so you never miss these powerful reminders. And if you truly felt this shift within you, comment "It is done" below, because the moment you accept it, your reality begins to follow.